All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Strange Planet Podcast. And for this week's episode, with 2024 right around the corner, we decided we were going to be discussing all of the movies that are going to be coming out in this upcoming year, 2024. Now, there is a very long list, including sequels and even prequels, so we narrowed it down a bit. But to start off, we will be talking about Deadpool 3. Which by far will probably be my favorite. Which is slated for July 26, 2024. Okay. And it was originally slated May 3rd, but I guess COVID and the writer's strike, and well, actually probably more the writer's strike than anything, it pushed it back. And then, so now it's coming out July 26th. And I got to say, I've been waiting since the second one for this one. So I am pumped for that. I don't know what you guys think. It was a grand slam with the first two. I don't know if we all in the party seen the first two.
Well, I haven't seen the second one, but the first one was awesome. I know I'm reminded by both Yuji and another one of our mutual friends that I need to see Deadpool 2. I will note that, and I'll make that New Year's resolution.
There you go.
See Deadpool 2 before Deadpool 3 comes out.
Oh, yeah, because 3, I'm telling you, there's no way it's going to be bad. There's just no way. The cast looks incredible. It looks like they're kind of fusing even some of the earlier X-Men that came out in the early 2000s. It seems like he's pulling a couple of strings and a couple of actors from those movies, too, and somehow he's including them into this. Also, this movie is the first Deadpool movie that's now going to be mixed in with like the MCU with the rest of them. So there's chances anybody could show up. You know what I mean? Like this could go so many different ways. So I'm kind of interested to see what's going to happen, where it's going to go. And you know for a fact it's going to be funny. I mean, Ryan Reynolds is in it. How could it not? And he managed to get Hugh Jackman to come back as Wolverine after he said he was finished for years. So, like, that was another thing. I was like, wow, this guy's really trying to do literally everything he possibly could to get this movie to go. And I can't see it being bad. Like, it's probably going to be one of the movies of the year, if anything, I think.
Well, I saw both 1 and 2, and they were both really good. I mean, the first one is obviously classic at this point for being what it was. Second movie kind of followed suit. Went a little bit more off on a tangent, which is fine. Yeah, no, 3 is probably going to be, another blockbuster one for Ryan Reynolds and the Deadpool character. I know that there were screenshots of the Wolverine costume.
Yeah, I heard about that too. Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting because it brings back the old yellow and blue costume. Not to spoil anything too much for anybody, but hey, it's out there.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's got a social media account, they probably had seen it, especially if they follow Ryan Reynolds, because I think he posted one of them up himself. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it wasn't like they were necessarily hiding it, but I think it wasn't supposed to come out exactly as it did. But, yeah, like I said, like that's the first time you're going to see Wolverine in his iconic suit, too. That's the funny part. Like, they hinted at it in, like, a couple of past movies and stuff, but it's funny when the next movie came, it's like they, I guess, just decided to go another way. Not that it was bad, because most of those movies were pretty good too. But this is the movie now where you're going to see him in like the original iconic outfits. So that's going to be kind of cool, I think. But all that and more. And it seems like they got a big cast for it. And I'm sure they're, not telling you everything, because why would they, So, yeah, there's going to probably be a lot more to come with that. But that movie, above all, right now is probably in like the top 3 for me that I want to see. And I guess moving forward, this is another real long shot. I can't believe this surprised me. I didn't even know they were making this until today. But you remember Gladiator from 2000 with Russell Crowe?
Yeah.
They're making a sequel, and it comes out this 2024.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and Russell Crowe's in it.
Huh?
Wow.
Yeah, and so is Denzel Washington. So this could be a good movie. And Pedro Pascal. Wow, this has got a lineup, dude.
Okay, I'm still confused. How is Russell Crowe going to be in the movie? Is he going to be continuing from when he died?
I'm assuming, let me see if it says anything, if it's like a prequel or whatnot, but if he's in it, it's looking like it's probably going to be like, you know what I mean, dipping into memory lane or something. Because you're right, because especially considering how the first one, like 23 years ago, ended. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he died. You know what I mean? So I think this might be through his son.
Will Smith's making I Am Legend too. So
yep, and that's another one that's coming too. I Am Legend 2. And
hey, if there's a buck to be made, they'll figure out how to res a dead main character.
Yeah, and as long as they do that and it makes sense, you know what I mean? And it's not like they just, you know, oh, poof, there he is. You know what I mean? As long as the writing's there behind it and it makes some kind of sense, I feel like it would work. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Once you're immersed in the story and the world, and I mean, the first Gladiator was fucking awesome. So if they could just make another movie like that and make the story good and self-contained, I really don't care if they tie up the loose ends as neatly as you would hope they did. But same thing with I Am Legend. It was a fun movie the first time. Yeah, Will Smith's dead at the end, but I mean, if they can figure out a way for him to survive, great. If not, I still want to see I Am Legend too.
Yeah, like it's still worth seeing. You know what I mean? Like it's still going to be worth the watch, I think. And I'm looking at a list here, and there is a lot of like sequels too. Like, did you see? I think this was like a Netflix thing.
Well, that's the story of our times.
Yeah, but I don't know if this is like, because I think you remember that movie Knives Out? I could have swore that was a Netflix thing. I don't know if it was in the theater or not. Maybe I'm wrong, but I saw the first two, and actually the second one I saw fairly recent. It was a few months ago, and it was just as good as the first one. I mean, the first one was great. They're making a third one, and supposedly it's slated for this year, although it says it's still in development. So I guess we're going to see what the deal is with that as time develops. But that might be another one worth the watch, I think, though, too, especially if you saw the first two, because they were very, like, it was like a murder mystery kind of thing. So, like, you had to pay attention and stuff. And, you know what I mean? It kind of kept you guessing. And then at the end, you get your answer, of course. You know what I mean? So those were good. And it was something different, too, at the time. And I guess for those that are gamers, they're making another Sonic the Hedgehog 3, but it is not coming until, like, the end of 2024. So, like, I don't know. I think I saw the first one, but I didn't see the second one, I don't think. But there is a third one coming, so.
I'll be honest. When I first heard that Jim Carrey was going to play the role of Dr. Robotnik, a.k.a. Eggman, I was skeptical. By the end of the first movie, somewhere into the second movie, he's doing a phenomenal job.
He did. I thought he kind of suited the role, especially, like, I didn't see the second one, so I can't comment on that. But the first one surprised me because it was like how they went about it. It wasn't like the video game aspect like you would think. If I remember right, it's like they kind of took Sonic and pulled him into the real world. And it was interesting, but it worked. But the real hilarious thing about the first movie was, like, weeks before it was released, I guess they showed images and obviously the trailer, but everybody was so pissed at the way Sonic looked because he looked nothing like the game character, I guess. So, like, people were, like, getting ready to boycott it and not even bother with it. And that really shook the studio up real quick because they fixed it all in time for the initial launch. And it's the Sonic that you know from, you know what I mean, the games. I guess the other one looked too much like a hedgehog to some people, I guess. I mean, it did look kind of ridiculous. I vaguely remember it. But it's nothing like what was actually released. The release version was way better.
If I remember correctly, it was the teeth especially that looked weird.
Yeah, they tried to make it a little bit more realistic in a way, but it's still being cartoony in a way. And it just came out looking really creepy.
Right.
And everyone was like, no.
It didn't look like it, really. Yeah, it just didn't look
it looked like the meme version of Sonic the Hedgehog where it was just, it was a big no.
Right? And apparently another film coming out, another Marvel-related one, they're making another, it looks like a third Venom. That would be pretty dope, too, because the first two I thought were really good.
I didn't get to see the second one, but I loved the first one.
Second one had Carnage in it. So, like, trust me, it's worth the watch. That one was good. The only thing that, like, I felt like could have made it better, it was good the way it was. Don't get me wrong. Like, I thought what they put out was great. It's definitely worth the watch. But if they had happened to have made that movie rated R, I think it would have been even better because Carnage is a psycho killer. You know what I mean? And they had to go a little lighter with him, but it worked. It still worked.
Doesn't Woody Harrelson play Carnage?
Yeah, he did. And you know what's funny? Just like you were skeptical with what do you call it? Jim Carrey playing Eggman there. I was a little suspect on that too. But then after watching it, I was like, yeah, no, he kind of owned it. He definitely did.
Woody Harrelson is really good at playing like psychotic characters. I don't know if you've seen Natural Born Killers.
Oh yeah,
but, like that was like one of his best.
That was a weird fucking movie.
He's a great actor in general.
But he is. Yeah, he really is. He's been around for years too.
But don't get me wrong. Like if you look at things like Zombieland, that's not his best work. That's him goofing off and getting a big paycheck.
Right, but they were funny movies. I ain't gonna lie.
No, they were fucking great. I loved those movies. They were great.
Yeah, like
he has range.
He does.
He definitely does. It's funny you said that though, too, because like I was almost hoping there'd be a third one of those coming, to be honest. But I don't. It's not listed here, so it's definitely not next year, even if it is.
I don't know. I mean, the first one was good. The second one wasn't as good.
I know what you mean, but at the same time, I feel like it's still worth the watch because it's still kind of funny. But the first one, yeah, you're right. The first one was probably better.
I think Adam Sandberg needs to die in the third one.
Oh, you mean Eisenberg? Because Sandberg isn't in that. Yeah, Sandberg isn't in that. Yeah, that's right.
Who I mean.
Yeah. That's funny. I knew exactly who you were talking about. And another, this is not a movie, but moving forward, another one that's dropping. And this was like up in the air for the past like 3 years. They're actually making it. It's not a movie. It's a show on Fallout, the game. Believe it or not. Yeah, it's going to be on. I want to say. Let me double check. I think it's on Amazon Prime, but I could be wrong. Let me double check.
Here's the thing about the Fallout series.
It is Prime.
It's a damn good concept. So I think that it could make a great premise for a show, but it has to be done properly. I mean, the whole thing in Fallout is that there's all these different Fallout shelters across the country that all did different things with, whatever they were.
Right.
Some was like a safe haven for people. Another one was experiments on people. It was all one fucking weirdness.
Because there's no law. It's like post-apocalyptic. So, yeah, it's like this is just like what happens with the survivors of everything. I don't think the show, which is smart here, I think, and this is kind of what they did for the Halo show that came out, but they're not following a game. I think it's just the concept of what Fallout is, but they're making another story attached to it. You know what I mean? So like if people are going in there thinking they're making a movie on like Fallout 4 or Fallout New Vegas.
Well, no. I mean,
it's not going to be that, I don't think. You know what I mean?
See, that's already the premise of the game series. It's just they come out with a new Fallout and it's just a different shelter somewhere else in the country.
Yeah, a different state or right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think this, this is rife to be, good. It's just who are you getting to play roles in the series? Where are you going with it? You're going to go it kind of goofy. You're going to go with it kind of serious and try to split the difference. I mean, and then you have to involve all the different creatures that you find in the areas. Like the 1 and 2, you had the mole rats and the roaches and the death claws and the bees and shit. So there's monsters to deal with too. Are you going to go with that route with the monsters? Or is it going to be all like, oh, hey, this civilization is doing this and got to get out the raiders? And
it's hard to say because obviously they did release a trailer, I believe, and like just judging from what you see on the trailer, I will say they kept it really like at home with when it comes to the game. Like the power armor suits are identical, and like even some of the life like the roaches, the giant roaches, and the diseased bears. And like all that kind of crap. I noticed all that's in there. Just see if you even watch the trailer, you'll see some of it there. So like it looks like I don't know if I highly doubt it's going to be a comedy, but there's probably going to be like funny parts here and there in it. But I think it's going to be like, just like that concept of the post-apocalyptic, after the bombs go off or whatnot. But it's going to be new people, a new cast, like a new story to tell. It might be maybe even in another state that they haven't covered in the games, Because I think in the games you had like Virginia was one, Vegas obviously was another, and then I think Boston was one of them too. I think, and so like you saw, like you were saying earlier, they do different sections of like the country in a sense. So this could be just another one of those, but as opposed to making it a game, they might just go ahead and make it a movie. So that could make it interesting.
It could. It definitely could. See, the thing about Fallout is there's no real tone to it. When you're playing the game, you kind of set the tone as the character.
Right.
Whether you want it to be like you're doing good for people or versus, you want to screw people over and just get everything you want.
There's that path and choice you have to make, whether you want the good route or the bad route.
That's the thing. They have to choose a tone for the show. So, that being said, they probably could go different tones from season to season if they wrap stuff up. But if they want to, stretch shit out, which they normally do, you get 2 seasons of Fallout 912, and then maybe Fallout 227 will be season 3, or spinoffs if it goes well.
Yeah, like that could.
I don't know.
That could go, a bunch of different ways. It really could.
There's a lot of positives, but it also can be overwhelming to the point that it gets negative.
Yeah, and then that could also kill the show and not make it last more than like a season or two, too. So
yeah,
that's the real deal with this. How could they make this as interesting as the game and then make it last a couple of years? You know what I mean? Because it seems like in recent days, most shows last about 5 or 6 seasons. You know what I mean? So, like, would it get that far? Would people get tired of it? Would it get old? Who knows? I guess we'll see. It depends upon how, close to the game they keep it, but with their new story attached. So, I mean, like I said, though, judging by the trailer, it seems like it's in the right field. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's off to a good start, but we won't know until it drops.
Yeah.
Again,
it all depends on the protagonist. Are we rooting for revenge? Are we rooting to just go out and explore the world, And
it doesn't seem like there's it looks like they're taking a gamble with this too, because I don't think it has any real A-list actors in it. So this could make a bunch of new stars if it does work out. You know what I mean? So that's also another.
Thing. You know what? With TV shows, it's better not to have stars because they don't like to dedicate that much time to one thing, and also, you tend to have expectations when you have stars on shows.
Right. And by keeping this clean, you don't have that now. Yeah, that's not part of the equation.
They definitely have a blank canvas they could do anything with. It's just you hope they get it right,
Right. I kind of hope they do too. I'm kind of rooting for that because for years for years. I mean, like Christ, we all kind of came up with that. You know what I mean? Over the past 10 years, maybe 12, 15 years. So, it would be cool to see this really kind of go somewhere, just like that Halo one. I haven't been too big on the games in recent years, but going way back to, Halo 1, 2, and 3, those were probably my favorite ones back in the day. And the show is actually pretty good, but just like I'm assuming this is going to go, the show kind of does its own thing, but with the, Master Chief and all of them, you know what I mean? So they're off to a good start. I think they're dropping another season sometime. I think it might be this upcoming year. Actually, I'm not 100%. It might be soon, actually, too, to be honest.
Thinking about a scenario that would be tantalizing to watch. Considering the Fallout series is very ambiguous, you'd want to have a shelter that has some kind of secret to it, whether it's upfront and obvious like it was in 4, or you're awake to see your baby being stolen from your partner while you guys are in cryogenic freeze. So that that's a compelling storyline, and that will drive the series into oh my god, what's the next episode going to be like? Because if you think about some of the shows that have been done based on video games, like The Last of Us, I mean that's very straightforward as for a storyline because it already sets a tone. As a main character, they have a purpose. It's linear in gameplay style, whereas you have these open world games which are going to be a little more difficult to do. So The Last of Us was amazing.
And I feel like they really handpicked a lot of that cast for that show too.
Yeah.
Like you could tell, like a lot of the people. Like I didn't even play the original games. I've seen clips and obviously trailers and stuff like that. But just from seeing that small amount alone, and then watching the entire show, you can see that they're very, very close to the game. The people they chose for those roles they did a good job with all that. Let alone the show itself was amazing. But it does turn out that on another note, Halo is dropping in February, the second season. So that is also coming in 2024.
I don't know if it's coming in 2024, but continuing with video games, I heard the live action Zelda has already been planned.
That was planned, but I don't think it's coming this year. But I think, believe it or not, I want to say Netflix was the one that was thinking about picking that up.
Interesting.
But I'm also not sure if it's like, because I've been hearing a lot of weird things about it. Like some people are saying it's a show, and then other people are saying it might be a movie. I think nobody knows what the hell it's going to be, but like at some point, I think something will, give, and then we'll know what the hell's going on with all that,
Okay.
But I think it is, like part of that isn't dead. I think that's still kind of up in the air. So I think that you might be looking more at 2025 for that, maybe even 6, but I guess we'll see. We never know. They could be, working on it as we speak for all we know.
Is there another season of Mandalorian coming up?
That's a good question. I have heard nothing about that recently.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. I don't think so.
Wow, that's surprising.
Yeah, they've been killing that show. Like everything. How many seasons of that has been out already? I think they're on
technically 3. If you don't count the book of Boba, which is like a whole nother season dedicated to Boba Fett, but within the realm of being around the Mandalorian. And then you got Ahsoka too, which is still kind of around the same timeline, but it's more on her end. And she's killing that role, so I would like to see another season of that too.
I think it's probably like gonna happen, but I think they have like other shows they want to put out first.
Yeah,
it's not slated. Not slated for this year upcoming, but it wouldn't. The show is so great. I don't think that it's gonna end yet. You know what I mean? Because they really.
I mean, there also is Pablo playing the role of the Mandalorian, and he's been doing a whole bunch of other shit too. So,
and to be honest,
spacing it out.
Yeah, and to be honest, that Mandalorian show I feel like is almost helping keep Star Wars alive, because like the newest trio they put out a few years back, it didn't do so well. You know what I mean? Especially the last two. I wasn't too big on those. I mean, and I don't think they were perceived very well either. Felt rushed, and it felt kind of stupid for the most part. But then like the Mandalorian came out, and then like all those Disney Plus shows came out, and I feel like that kind of helped, keep it afloat for a while. But now they got to try to maybe fix some of those, or I don't know if they're going to, I heard rumors they were going to make more movies, but then I also heard other rumors that they were going to remake those last 3 or something too. So like, I don't know really what they're planning, but yeah, I would say whoever's the guy, I think it's Jon Favreau that's kind of producing and directing all of the shows like Mandalorian and possibly even Boba Fett and all of them. If he's the one doing that and it's a big success, why not just have him do, the movies too? Because he's batting 1,000 right now. So just let him carry the whole thing,
Yeah, but when it comes to like, people who are batting 1,000, their pay tends to go up. Sometimes that becomes a thing.
I don't think he's like that, like money hungry of a greedy guy, but it's still a possibility when it comes down to it in the end.
When your time comes and they're charging X amount for you, you're gonna be like, no, you can lower that. You can look at that number and be like, no, I'll take that.
Yeah. Right. Or if you could get more, why not? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're one of the lucky A or B list actors that can bring in that kind of bank. Yeah,
right.
That you've worked hard at your craft. You've gone through a very tough industry. I'd say it's time to cash in.
Yeah, for real.
And don't get me wrong, if you're still banking years later and you're continuing your series, and like they're saying, oh well, we're not gonna be able to get this done because of this and that. That's when actors become producers and like, well, fuck it, use my paycheck to pay for everybody else, and then we'll just get the movie done.
And the other way of looking at it too is if you got somebody like him running it, and obviously it's a huge success from what he's already done, let alone all of his involvement with Marvel too. I mean, it's going to pay for itself. So, like, if you're going to pay anybody, you might as well pay the guy that knows what he's doing. You know, like, so like, would you rather pay?
That's the thing, though. Disney is doing so much with like the Marvel series and the Star Wars series and everything else they're doing behind the scenes Disney wise. They're probably already using him for a couple other projects, so maybe they have him tied up with something else at the time.
That could be
it. Yeah. It's just that they're. I remember what was a couple of years ago. They had like 30-something movies coming out in the next couple of decades. It was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they did, and then I think things switched up a little bit with that, especially when it comes to Marvel because of what happened with Jonathan Majors and everything. So now I think they're going to have to shift things and change a few things up, and I think they're obviously recasting him too. But I don't know who that's going to be yet. But part of me was almost thinking Denzel could pull something like that off, but I don't think he's going to do it. But
I don't know. I mean, Denzel's already a big ticket item, bringing in. But like, if he showed interest, he'd be like, yeah, I'd love to be in a Marvel movie. That's when I think they'd bring him on board. They wouldn't give him the super A-list, price tag. They'd be like, yeah, would you be willing to do this for a lower price? But I don't know. I do agree with you that he would probably do a great job at that role.
Yeah,
I don't know though. Like a Marvel/Disney movie, yeah, they have money. Pay the fucking man.
But that's the reality of it, because they have it. They have like practically an infinite budget. So I mean,
yeah, but when you're paying everybody buku bucks, eventually your budget is gonna like be overblown to all hell. And who knows? It may be successful enough where it makes that money and then some.
Right, right.
That's the risk you're taking. Is all right. We'll pay all these actors, millions and millions of dollars, and payroll alone is $500 million, and you're like, okay, now let's talk about locations and film gear and everything else.
Right. That's like kind of the gamble you got to play with it.
Yeah.
I guess moving forward, this is another strange one that's coming out. Have you seen The Quiet Place? Apparently they made 2 of them.
I think I did. That's the one where they had to walk around without making noise and shit.
Because they were like super fast and they just come and swoop over and just eat you and then leave. Yeah, like they were, I think, blind monsters, but their hearing was incredible. So, like, yeah, if you snapped on a twig, you had like 10 seconds to figure out what you're going to do to hide, or you're probably dead kind of deal. But they're making another one called Quiet Place Day 1. So I guess it's going to be the prequel to the first one, would be my assumption there.
The day they showed up, that would be interesting.
I actually agree with you, to be honest, because you would see kind of how the first movie possibly became. You know what I mean? Because technically the monsters were already there. But I guess maybe this Day 1 now will kind of introduce how they even came to Earth, maybe. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Because it doesn't look like from the cast here, anybody from the originals are even in it. So that lets you know that this could be maybe even a couple of years before the first one. You know what I mean? So who knows? But I think it'll be worth a watch. I'll probably check this one.
No, they were good movies.
Right? Like overall, I thought they were, especially as far as like aliens go, like that was definitely something new. I've never seen anything like that before, because that's what it comes down to. Like when you want to make sci-fi movies, or if you're making, like alien based stuff. And if you're going to make it, you got to also make something that hasn't really been seen in a sense. So this way it's like a fresh new idea and you can just leap forward with it and then take it wherever you want. And some of these studios will ride it into the ground, but you know what I mean? But some of them have managed to keep it afloat, and it's pretty good. So I'm hoping this follows in that footstep, if anything. And they're making another Beetlejuice, apparently, coming out.
Nice.
Yeah, another Beetlejuice, apparently. I mean, Christ, it's been at least 20 years since the first one, right? Probably longer.
Well, I mean, it had a cartoon series that followed shortly after the movie was done, but it didn't have, a lot of staying power because they never really capitalized on it then. But like, it was always on people's minds who liked the first movie. Like, oh, hey, are they ever going to do another one? And then I think it was a few years ago, someone had asked Tim Burton, like, hey, would you ever direct another Beetlejuice? He's like, only if Michael Keaton would reprise the role. Michael Keaton
Oh, he
says,
did.
yeah, he's like, I want to do that role again. He had so much fun with that role.
Yeah, apparently he's back. Winona Ryder's back.
Oh, hell yeah.
And they added Jen Ortega, and even William Dafoe is in there.
William Dafoe, nice.
And guess who else is in this? I can't remember her name, but the mother from Home Alone.
Oh, she was in the original.
She was too? I thought she was.
She was the family that moved into the house where the ghosts were living. And then the ghost called for Beetlejuice to help them get the real people out. And they ended up staying and living there.
Wow. So in that case, this movie's kind of, they really did carry everybody over from the old one. And the old one was, wow, I see it here, 1988 apparently. So that's a throwback, that's for sure. Holy shit. I didn't know it was that old.
Yeah, dude.
Holy shit. Yeah, wow. I thought it was in the 90s. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was when Michael Keaton was like in his prime doing like fucking Batman and
yeah, he was in everything, man. Like as far as one thing that I don't know if people know, but if not, they will find out soon. Apparently, the new Aquaman that just came out is going to be the last movie in the DC universe. They're actually ending it. It's over.
Really?
So the DC universe it went from 2013 to 2023. That's it. And they're not doing any more. So the last one is going to be this Aquaman sequel. And then I guess, they're scrapping everything. And, it's not going to be dead for good. There'll be another director at some point. And I think there's still another Batman sequel coming out from the first one with Robert Pattinson or whatever his name is.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think there's still, he's not dead for good. Like you're still going to see more. And then it's only a matter of time, like I said, until another director shows up and, maybe tries to bring them all together or something again. But as far as what we knew, though, with like Wonder Woman and Ben Affleck's Batman and all those, it's all done. It's finished. Game over. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what it is? They saw what the MCU was doing and they tried to capitalize on it, but they rushed it. They didn't have time to develop any of the characters fully. I mean, when you're talking Batman, Superman, yeah, we've done those 1,000 times, but with everybody else, they didn't have time to really cultivate those. And DC doesn't have a lot of interesting characters when it comes to superheroes and stuff.
You're right, and the cast is not as huge as what Marvel had to offer. So, Marvel could make movies for the next 2 or 3 centuries if they really wanted to. There's that much material. But as far as what DC goes, there's still some good stuff in there, don't get me wrong. But a lot of it has already been made over the past 50 years.
Yeah.
It's not new. Yeah, it's just, I don't think people were wowed enough by it. And I also feel like the casting played a role. Because, no pun intended, but Ben Affleck was not Batman. I'm sorry. I just don't think that was a good casting call.
I feel for Ben Affleck because coming up with, the whole Mallrats and Clerks movies and being involved in that, and then doing things with, Matt Damon in more serious roles, he got to be a decent actor. And then he played in a few things that weren't very good for him. And I don't know, it felt like he fell off. But now it's for it. I just feel bad for him because I don't feel like he'll ever get a good shake anymore. Any kind of role he does.
Yeah, if you think about it, it's right. You're right. 'Cause it's been a while since he was in like a movie that was as good as say Armageddon. You know what I mean? It's not. There really hasn't been anything like that. At least for him. To be honest with you, I don't think he's that great of an actor. No pun intended either. He's not the worst. There's definitely worse. But at the same time, you know what I mean?
I would agree that he's not he doesn't have the most range and everything. When there's Ben Affleck, you're getting one of 3 people basically. But, I still feel that, he wasn't really given a chance. And it's not so much that he was a bad actor in the movie. I feel like the writing itself for Batman and Batman versus Superman just wasn't done properly anyway either.
Yeah, I hear you on that. And I also hear you when you said about the them trying to rush to catch up. Because when you look at how this Marvel world was born, it really is 100% due to Robert Downey Jr. But they took their time with it. And then they introduced each character as they went, sometimes as the post credits kind of scene, so it kind of hyped up the crowd for the next movie. So you're always in that cycle. Holy shit, there's just an endless material, and it was good too. Like, and a lot of these actors weren't really, I mean, besides Robert Downey, I guess, weren't like entirely known either. Like even a guy that was Loki, Tom Hiddleston, I think his name is, or something. Like even he wasn't like big at the time of, say, Thor or the first Thor, or the Avengers, the first Avengers movie. Yeah. But then look what happened. Like he killed the role, he owned it, and then it blew up, and he was in dozens of other things ever since. And then it really elevated his career, I think, if anything.
Yeah, but then you have actors like Mark Ruffalo and Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. You know
what I'm saying, who've been in the game for a long time and did serviceable for their roles. I'm not saying they did bad at all. Mark Ruffalo was great as Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
And everything like that. But it's just like, those were actual stars who got cast into the roles that, I guess it elevated their careers a little bit because they were more in the public eye.
Yeah, and it was continuous. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was very continuous. And then it was also the kind of thing, too, where even at that point, no matter what movie you were watching, it was that person's movie, but you never knew who else would be in it. You know what I mean? So it kind of always had that mystery behind it.
Yeah.
And like DC just never really got it was able to get it together like that to do it and make it interesting.
Marvel had great casting for the roles, great writing for the movies they did. And when they finally pulled the trigger on the Avengers, they did it the right way. They had fucking Samuel L. Jackson lead the way.
Yeah, so, and that was another great idea there. You're right.
So it's definitely, they had a lot more to play with in the MCU than DC, and it's kind of sad because you look at DC and it's like they could do so much more, but at the same time, it's Batman Superman.
Always, and the one thing about Superman too that I couldn't understand was like, yeah, he's one of the oldest comic book characters, but he's had a ton of villains that he's fought over the years. But almost every movie, it's the same villain. You know what I mean? So like they could have really explored. They have the technology for it now. Clearly. I mean, take a look at a lot of the shit that's out there right now. But it was always like Zod, or I mean, it was never like Gorilla Grodd, or they tried to put Doomsday in, but they kind of fucked that up. He looked like a cave troll from the Lord of the Rings. But like, you know what I mean? But like, that was another issue, of course, too, that I guess we're dealing with. But at the same time, it just didn't work. You know what I mean? In the long run.
My issue with Superman is that he's boring. Okay.
I agree. I agree too.
He's boring. He was made at a time when the U.S. really needed a hero. And who do we call on? Superman, the invincible, American. I mean, we know he's from another planet, but he's meant to represent America.
Right.
And this was made at a time when there was like Nazi Germany on the rise, and we really needed a hero. And so creating a superhero that is essentially unbeatable. Yes, he has kryptonite, which has become synonymous with someone's weakness. But even if he ate kryptonite, like he'd still somehow survive because he's Superman. I mean, like, I know there are things in the comics where Superman actually dies, but I don't know. They find some way to bring him back anyway.
Of course.
But I don't know. It's just, that's why I really liked the Netflix Marvel TV shows, and that's why I'm looking forward to them hopefully continuing that tradition on Disney Plus in terms of the Defenders and bringing that. They're at the opposite end of the spectrum from Superman, because the Defenders they seem like real life people with real life problems. Exactly. They are vulnerable. Even Luke Cage, who could have been like Superman, he's vulnerable. He has, and it's not just like a kryptonite weakness, but like there's just no way that Superman, who's been around for God knows how long, he's just not that interesting of a character. He has no real flaws. He's just perfect. And
Yeah.
maybe at the time America needed that perfect superhero, but we don't now. We need someone that's representative of modern Americans who, let's face it, don't pretend to be perfect.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And then that's the thing that always made me laugh about Superman though, is because he's so invincible. Like I couldn't understand when they made like Batman versus Superman, because how could Batman even stand a chance when he has no abilities? You know what I mean? Now, of course, he's got money in the suits and all that kind of crap. But judging from what we know from Superman, like there would be no contest. You know what I mean? Like
There
the
would be
Hulk,
no competition.
yeah, like the Hulk would be competition. You know what I mean? Not,
No,
not
I mean,
Batman. Like
Batman, I think, got a hold of some kryptonite. Okay, wonderful. But, that slows Superman down, I guess. But otherwise, take away that kryptonite and it's no contest. Superman is like fast as fuck. He can fly. He can,
cold breath.
I mean, yeah, I
laser
mean,
eyes.
there's just, yeah, he could do everything and do it perfectly. The
Right.
only if you have a fucking rock can you stop him. Other than that, if you don't have that rock, you're fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, like it just, you're right. It's such like a basic invincibility character. Like there's not really a lot to it. And I guess at the time, years ago, it was intriguing.
Yeah.
But like you look at what's out now, and I feel like you don't compare to the
Right.
majority of what's out now.
His character does not allow for any sort of meaningful development.
Right. It's
Yeah.
already at its pinnacle, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, well, where do you
Yeah.
go from there?
Now, in a television setting, I could see it being somewhat different. You have
But but then
someone
you look
trying
at
to-
Smallville, where it's just like you're building up from nothing again, and it's really only Superman in his little one horse town where he has to pretend not to be Superman.
right,
And-
right.
I mean
So-
that gets boring after a while. It feels like you're watching one of the fucking what the hell
Yeah.
was it? Twilight
Like Hope.
movies.
Yeah, or like home on the ranch. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's like not Superman at that point.
yeah, and I never watched Smallville, but Christ, that was on for years. That was
Yeah.
on for a really long
Oh, and they
time.
had Lois and Clark back in the day. That was
Yep.
a pretty
Another
interesting
Superman
show.
spinoff.
Yeah,
I'll say
I mean,
this.
it was.
I'll say this: if either of you have seen Injustice or not, that is an interesting spin on the whole Superman kind of situation.
He went bad, right, or something in that,
well,
or there was a clone or something. or-
Here's what happened. It starts with Superman waking up with Lois Lane, and she's pregnant because he can hear the baby's heartbeat in her.
Because he's that
So-
perfect.
It's fucking Superman. He can hear someone 3 miles away getting mugged. You know what I'm saying? He can hear a baby's heart 3 inches from his face. So he finds out she's pregnant, and he's all happy about it. And then he finds out that Batman's in Metropolis. And he's like, "Hey, Batman, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, the Joker's in town. I'm tracking him down. I'll be gone probably by the end of the day. Don't worry about it." Okay. Well, what happens is the Joker kidnaps Lois Lane, and Superman can't get there in time. And when he gets there, he gets gassed by Scarecrow's gas that the Joker stole and mixed it with something else. And so he thinks he sees maybe Doomsday or some other villain, and like pile drives him through a submarine that he was in into like the stratosphere, and then he finds out that it's Lois Lane, and from there he snaps. He starts to get like he wants control over everybody. He doesn't want anyone doing anything wrong. If not, they'll be punished. He starts getting like dictatorship and super villainy, and for the most part, Wonder Woman has his back. For like, yeah, we'll get everyone in order, because she's from the Amazons, where it's just like, yeah, we're a top dogs, law and order. That's what's gonna happen. And immediately Batman's like, "No, you shouldn't be doing this. You got to calm down. I know what you're going through." But so it gets to the point like there are a bunch of kids in a warehouse partying, wearing like Joker masks and shit because they're kids. They're being stupid and being rebellious. He storms in there and eye laser beams the shit out of everybody. Casualties up the ass.
He pulled a Homelander.
Yeah, dude. He went in there and just fucking leveled the whole place. So that's like the point of no return for Superman in that one. But like that was an interesting arc. You got your perfect Mr. Superhero, and the one thing that could take him down took him all the way down.
Yeah, see, like something like that would have been cool to see in a movie because that would have been different than the same old two-step that we're used to, Like that might have actually helped DC. But yeah, I think I know what you're gonna say. But go ahead.
Then again, you throw that rock at him. Oh.
I think that what they should do going forward with the DC universe is not eliminate Superman, but just have him retire, have him be done, have him disappear somewhere, to the point that like everyone has to figure out how to do things without Superman around.
That could work too. Or you know what I think could work too? You really could have Superman in it. But what you have to have as part of the equation is multiple villains. So this way he could fight, say, like Doomsday or someone that Batman and no one else can really take care of. So this way he's occupied with that fight. And then you have like other side fights with, say, Batman and the Joker and Aquaman and Mantis, you know what I mean? And then you could have like that kind of going on as a sub story, because then you could have two things kind of going on at once, but they're more comparable to what they are up against. You know what I mean? It would I feel like it might make more sense that way, and that you haven't really seen that on screen yet. And I think they should finally just pack Zod up away and just never really worry about him for a decade, like, because even the Christopher Reeves ones had a bunch of Zods. You know what I mean? We get it.
I just think eliminating Superman as an item in the comic book series would elevate the whole comic book series, because everyone else is pretty much, well, if you look at Batman, he's got unlimited money, so he can pretty much do whatever he wants.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's, then you have the characters like the Blue Beetle, who's like, okay, Aquaman, okay, the Flash,
right? It's like,
fast. This is
right. It's like, You
know what it is? All the characters feel one-dimensional.
Very one-dimensional. That's true. And like Rook was saying too, that's the one thing Marvel I feel like has really been doing great with throughout their whole run. Because a lot of these people have abilities, and they all have different backgrounds. But most importantly, almost all of them also have like regular modern day problems too, and like that are like human related, even though a lot of them aren't human. But you know what I mean? Like, and that also plays a big element in the whole role of these movies and how they're developing them. Because if everything just seems too perfect or they're just too powerful, it just doesn't make any, what's the story then? You know what I mean? It just seems kind of pointless. And that's all for this week. And this will be the last episode of 2023. And we would like to thank all the followers and viewers. And from everybody here at Strange Planet, we wish everybody a Happy New Year. Be safe and be smart. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications. Strange Planet will have new episodes on YouTube every Friday. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next year.